Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And y'all, this call's been it's been building up and it's been coming. And if y'all have probably been feeling it, but what Alyssa Rushton is going to do for us is really articulate something that's becoming very alive in us for a very particular reason. It's not by chance. It's not that maybe I'll step into that or that's for other people and I'll just kind of follow along. It's really here to anchor something within all of us. So it's an amazing call, Alyssa. We're going to get into awakening the newer leader within, how to activate your divine role, embody your soul gifts, and lead from light. We'll probably open up to Q&A. There's an amazing special offer that we're going to get into later, which is super high level, but accessible for everyone. But I want to dive into the conversation. So, Alyssa, with that introduction and that little tease, welcome to today's call.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this for the last month or more, just because I've got so much to share today, and I'm so excited to see you guys here. So I'm just gonna really, is it okay if really quick I just look and see who's here?
Of course.
Hey, Mary, we've got all the Marys on. We've got Nikki's, Nancy. Oh my gosh, you guys say hi. I want to hear from you guys. This is all about you today, so definitely pop in the chat. Can we do that? Can we have them pop in the chat? And
We can absolutely have people pop in the chat. Yeah.
okay, great. I'm just trying to see who all I know here. Several of you guys. Amazing. Oh, Marlon's here. Hello, beautiful. Oh my gosh. Yes. Amazing. Carla's here. Yay, Carla. Can we say Carla just recorded a new song with Equanimous? I don't know if you guys follow Equanimous.
I know Equanimous. Yes. Yes.
Ah, some of the best music out there right now in terms of conscious music. Carla just recorded a new song called Golden. So everything. So some amazing people on here today, you guys. Thank you for hanging out with us.
And a lot of people from BTO also that are just regulars and just showing up on a
Yes.
continuous basis for the expansion that's available. So I want to honor everybody that's from BTO that may not be part of Alyssa's group as well, because we're here for everybody, truly. And
We
again, it's wonderful that we get to unite in this way and really see the interweaving that's happening between communities and families, if you will. Uh, that's showing more. So it's wonderful.
yeah, and I feel like you guys are all soul family. Like everybody here is soul family, you know?
Yeah, I'm just pausing for everybody to feel that. So, Alyssa, a lot's coming alive, and that's what's bubbling up. It's like I don't even want to get into bullet point questions or anything else because that's just before we even do that, to give context, how is it that you guide people? I know that you take people one-on-one sessions and in groups, and you do a lot of counseling with business and anchoring in alignment as well. But I'd love it if you share a little bit more for context for everybody who's receiving your transmission today.
Oh, what a great question. Well, some of you guys know this about me, some of you don't. I'm a near-death survivor, so I actually got to die for a little bit and then came back. And so one of my big things is about being embodied as divine here while we're on the planet. And, for me, getting to be one with God consciousness and all that is. What I feel like now is we're in that time when everybody has the chance of waking up to that truth and feeling that truth of you are divine, you are God, the universe, whatever languaging you'd like to use. It doesn't really, the other side doesn't care. But we're all divine in a body. And so that's my big mission is ultimately to guide people back home to direct connection, not connection through me, not connection through a guru or somebody that you really respect. It's your direct divine connection and walking yourself back home and then pulling that frequency down. We all talk about ascension, but it's really about descending conscious frequency into the body and
Mm,
anchoring as much divine consciousness into this vehicle and this world around us as possible. You know, we I hear so much about people talking about ascension and ascending, and it's great. I love that too, but like we're here now and it's such a luxury and a privilege to be here on planet Earth where we get to feel and sense and taste and experience. It's like the best video game ever, the most
Mhm.
amazing experience ever, and to really enjoy it fully, it's
Mm.
about allowing all of your consciousness to come online, which lets you play at a whole different level. So that's really the work that I get to do with people, is turning on their what I call divine DNA, clearing out some of the old programs of trauma and fear and limitation and lack and all that stuff, so that you can be in that frequency and creating a really different life, because ultimately there's 8 billion different, or close to 8 billion different realities,
Mm.
and really creating the reality bubble that you want to experience. And then when you do that, there's this terminology. Do you guys know this terminology in physics? It's called phase transition. So
Mm.
it's when you heat up a pan of water on the stove and all the molecules start to get faster and go. And then pretty soon, phase transition happens and the water boils.
Mm.
So we are in the process of, you, each and every one of you guys are helping phase transition on the planet. So the more you anchor and embody your divine self, your divine consciousness, the more you're participating in phase transition, where we go. And by the way, 2025 and 2026 are our two, I've always called these like the sandwich years. They're the meatiest years of the planet. You know, you bite into that sandwich that's like, ah, oh, this is delicious.
Mhm.
It's hard, but delicious, where we are in phase transition, where we go and we break from fear and lack and limitation and all the things that we've been living with for the last 12,000 years as
Mm.
humanity. And we go into, literally, you guys, there are new potentials for your soul that you actually haven't ever had before. Like you have all new soul potential at this time. And I couldn't be more excited about it.
Mm. Well, part of what you're talking about, that phase transition also in the calibration that happens with that, again, as the water begins to boil and the alchemy takes place, a key component of that, and again, we talked about in the beginning of the call as I did the introduction, part of the alchemy of that is realizing what's becoming alive in us, what we have alchemized, and and that requires a certain level of leadership. Not a certain level of leadership. It's actually alchemizing into owning what's there, which is really leading with that consciousness and that essence that we're emanating.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, is we have to own it. We have to claim it. We have to bring it down through
Mhm.
us in a very conscious way, because the other truth is that there's a lot right now on the planet that's competing for your consciousness. You know, and it's the everyday sort of dance with that. What's competing for your consciousness and trying to take you into different frequencies versus you, who can bring yourself into different frequencies, and literally you will experience life in such a different way depending on where you let yourself go.
You know, something that, again, it's part of the reason why we air this show is to bring clarity where there's confusion. And there's a lot of people that have been they've been deep diving into their conscious evolution in different ways. And this isn't their first rodeo in trying different things and immersing in different energies and again calibrating to new frequencies. But there's still a tendency with a lot of these light leaders, I'll call them, to feel like something isn't quite right, like they can't move forward, like it's like I feel like I'm missing something. There's a disconnection. And
Mhm.
why do you think that is?
Mm. Well, you know, I'm one of those people that I feel like things are not singularities. Like I think things are more layered and complex than we think. And so I think with light leaders, there's a couple of commonalities that I see. So that feeling of something's not quite right or I'm sort of disconnected often comes from the first thing is our identity doesn't actually hasn't caught up with the new template yet. So,
Hmm.
for example, maybe you want to really have these different relationships in life or be doing these different things, but the old identity, that version of you, is still kind of stuck in a rut and doing some of the behaviors that keep you here. Can I do my little I'm going to do this. So, like, this is where you want to be, and this is where you are now. And I'm using up and down just for visual sake. But what happens with most light leaders is they want to be someplace different, and they're here right now, and they start taking actions and they start doing things. And they start doing things, and they're doing things and doing things and doing things and doing things and doing things. But they haven't actually shifted their identity to be on this version of themselves that would match up with the things that they want. So typically, it's an identity issue where we have to sort of switch out some of the old identity based things. And that's your talk track. That's the pictures that you make out into the field. When I say talk track, I mean that's the self talk that we tell ourselves. And so many light leaders, John, you have no idea how many light leaders I talk to. They all have this I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I don't know if it's going to work out. So, underneath that, what that is, it's the doubt program. Right. And so one of the works that I do with people is help them to switch that stuff out. Those frequencies actually don't support you having ever what you want. And so once we switch those out and sort of heal that parts of ourselves, then it becomes really easy. We pop up and what I call snap to the grid of that which we want, and then it can happen pretty quickly. So a lot of a lot of light leaders have that. Some of them have the program of, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not from here. I don't like it here. And that's more of a star seed program. So I'd be curious to know how many of you guys have that one. The ultimate thing with the star seed program is we did choose to come here for a reason. Like we all said yes to coming here. We did choose to come here for a reason. And I can tell you firsthand from being on the other side, it's not exactly easy being a human being, right? There's a lot of trauma that we have in the physical body, and that's okay. And it's ours to kind of journey through that, heal through that. But at some point, what will end up serving us is if we make the decision, yes, I'm here. I am here now. And because I'm here now, I get to decide my experience versus what I feel like there's a lot of in spiritual community and Starseed community is disempowerment. So it's a disempowered way of approaching the world. And that is whenever we're approaching the world from a disempowered program, by the way, you came into a body that was disempowered. So we kind of have to switch, we have to switch the magnetics. We have to alchemize it. We have to work with those programs. I had all those programs. I had to alchemize them all. How do you make something go from cold to hot? You apply heat. So we're literally here on planet Earth to become alchemists. How do you not have World War III? Well, it requires all of us to enter into phase transition and literally hold a different frequency on the planet and vision in a new version of reality that we want to experience and actually energize that.
We have to claim it. It's not just visioning in, but we have to take action on it. We really have to getting into having relationship with
Yeah.
that authority that is absolutely sprouting in us. And,
Yeah.
and like and I love it that you said earlier, that it's not about you being the guide or following a guru because that doesn't work anymore. Yes, we want examples of what's possible through other people, and certain people hold certain frequencies and a particular level of identity that allows for that phase transition, that allows a reference point for this is kind of like the tipping point of what's happening. And that's wonderful. But before we cross the threshold that we're really longing for, we have to reclaim and cross that threshold by ourselves. No one's going to carry us through.
That's right. And we have to embody it. You know, I love how you said, like, we have to actually not only vision it in, but we have to,
Mhm.
life is about action. It's about bringing in the frequency and then doing something with it. Can I give a quick example of that?
Absolutely.
So for the last couple of years, I've been hearing New Earth Council, and set this up, and I just haven't done anything with it. And I was, this is going to sound so silly, but I was sulking around going, God, where's the New Earth Council, and why is this not here? And then at one point I thought, well, you've been hearing to set this up for the last 2 years. You just got to do it. So I
Mhm.
sent out some emails and I invited some folks, and we had a New Earth Council meeting, and it was amazing, and it was soul connection. So ultimately it's like we want to align with frequencies, but then we want to put it in the body. We want to put it into action and really set some different things in motion in ourselves.
How do you help people get into motion? Because a lot of times that seems to be like I don't know how to get it forward. I kind of feel my purpose, but I'm not quite sure. I feel like it might be this, but maybe something different's coming in. And there's like all these kind of start, stop kind of energies with the fluctuations of the solar flares, with the astrology, with what's happening in the news. And it's always like we're at the mercy, supposedly, of these other things. But again, how is it that you facilitate for people to be in their own mastery rather than waiting for permission for something to pass and finally realizing that all those things are just going to cycle around again anyway?
That's it. I love that. Yeah, because that's all true. We are living in this big universe and we're impacted by all of it. You guys probably know, you wake up, you had a good night's sleep, you wake up in the morning and you're like, what's wrong? I don't feel great today. And what's happening is you're feeling the weight of the collective because you're waking up, you're graduating to more and more frequency. So to your question, for me, it's always frequency first, alignment first. So
Hmm.
if my frequency and my alignment is in touch with my highest self, like, thank you, universe, for letting me be on service today. Thank you, universe, for everything in my world. Thank you, universe, for all of the health and all of the health and the wealth and the joy that's coming through. If I'm on my frequency, then the taking action's relatively easy. To give you an example, it's kind of like if I wanted to be a runner. If I was on frequency with being a runner and I'm just like, I love running, I enjoy running so much, it feels amazing for my body, it's so easy for me to put on the running shoes.
Hmm.
But if I'm not in the identification of being a runner, I'm going to find every excuse to not put on the running shoes. So
Hmm.
for me, at the end of the day, almost everything's an identity issue, where if our identity is aligned with that we say that we want, then it's easy, the actions come easy, everything comes easy. But for most people, they can't get there from there because there's an identity gap. And let me tell you the reason for that.
Hmm.
You're in a physical body that was programmed to have a very 3D identity. You're in a physical body that's literally programmed to be your ego, your personality self, to have these limitations. So you have to be very intentional about reprogramming your vehicle of your car to have a different identity. But when you do, I see it all the time in my work with people. Every single day, I get amazing voxes and messages, and it always starts with, you won't believe it, or this is the vox you've been waiting for. Because when they do that first piece of alignment, it's kind of like if you were to go target shooting with a bow and an arrow and you're just to start to fire arrows, you're probably not going to hit the target. But if you
Hmm.
align yourself first, you've got a good shot of getting it there. But most humans, we're out of alignment with our real identity, which is we are these beautiful, incredible, powerful spiritual beings a direct, I call it your God in a body, your divine in a body, your universe in a body, and we're waking up to that. But that's not been the program. And so it's about unlearning, unprogramming, and really remembering our truth. But once people do that, then they can really align and then snap to this higher version of themselves where things become really easy and effortless and their literal outer world changes, their relationships changed. On like, I get the calls all the time, you won't believe this, but my mom is a changed person. And or things like that. It's because the mom didn't actually change, it was us that changed. Because at the end of the day, your reality is being generated from inside here. Most people think their reality is coming from out here, but it's not. It's literally pumping out from inside you. So the more you start to switch this in here, then the outside world can really do some shifting.
How does your work help people shift in that way? And again, that's going from, you talk about going from ego-based manifesting into soul-aligned creation.
Yes.
So is it a heavy process? Is there a lot of excavating from the back so that we can finally get into true alignment? Is it here's this mirror process and then within 3 days instant manifestation because you were so prepared to align in different ways? Um,
Great question. This is where it's so individuated
hmm,
based on the level of trauma stored in the vessel is how slow or fast it takes someone to get there. So, for example, if I had this water glass and it was filled with filth, the amount of dirt and grit in the water glass,
hmm,
if I pour clean, pure water into it, which is my process, by the way, I believe how you shift things the fastest is you bring in new frequency, right? And then that new frequency sort of pulls out and pushes out the old stored stuck trauma. So depending upon the amount of trauma in the body and in the cells and our level of commitment to keeping it, because that's also a thing. All right, some people
hmm.
really want to keep it and drag it around with them. So you kind of have to be mindful of that. But if you're like, oh my gosh, yes, I want to change things, it can happen really quickly. I've seen it happen overnight. I've seen it happen in a week. I've also seen it take 10 years.
Right.
So it is really an individual choice. It's an individual decision. And it's so multifaceted for people. But it always surprises me to see um, how easily it can happen for people, because my belief is being a near death survivor, it can be hard, but we don't have to do it that way. In
Right.
fact, I always recommend not going the hard path.
Well, that's compassion and grace that's coming through, and why can you understand that's because you've had the experiences, and able to guide people, and that takes me back into this divine leadership role. Part of the phase transition and the stepping into leadership is that our true essence of embodying what we have learned, what we've accumulated as we've gone through the different transitions and crossed the different thresholds that are leading into greater emancipation is an aspect of us has to demonstrate it to others. We start teaching what we learn. We start sharing. We share the codes, if you will, in different ways. And it doesn't mean that everybody has to go online and become a teacher and start putting it out there. But there is that place that you start sharing that intelligence from an overfilled cup that you have, rather than trying to force something into place.
Yeah. I come from technology. I used to work for a cell phone company. And how I've always seen it with us is we act like these cell towers where you just broadcast frequency. And so, a lot of times, for many people, even many of you here, you might not ever teach anything outwardly. What you're radiating is the frequency of your presence.
Hmm.
Have you guys ever been in the presence of that person where you just feel better? And you're like, oh, this person, I just feel relaxed all of a sudden. Or maybe
Mhm.
it's you. Maybe people tell you all the time, like, oh, I just feel better in your presence. So that's a radiant frequency right? That's coming through you. And I really feel like what I mean by new earth leader is you embodying a frequency that's sovereign, that's free, that's deciding on what you get to experience in this lifetime versus having that being dictated to you by algorithms.
Mm,
Right? Because that's also a very real thing. So you get to decide what you experience and you get to co-create it with the divine in the sense that I believe that everything's already basically manifest. We're just deciding on which part of that creation do we want to experience at every given moment. So doing
mm,
that really consciously versus the old way, which is just meeting up against life and being reactionary versus creationary.
mhm. Yeah, something that came up as you were talking about that and choosing and the algorithms of how important it is to be out in nature when we're making these decisions, when we're being in a relationship, to get back into a vibrational calibration that is supportive of our nervous system
Mhm.
and our connection into multiversal intelligence, rather than sitting in a computer trying to figure things out or surrounded by Wi-Fi, where there is an algorithm, there is this mapping in place that is trying to influence you in a particular direction.
Absolutely. And there's so much science around that. In fact, I just read a study, you guys, the other day where if you turn off your cellular data, and the people in the study did it for 2 weeks, their brain reversed aged by 20 years.
Wow. 20
20,
years?
20 years reverse brain aging.
Wow.
And so, the all of this technology, it does impact us. It really does impact us. And so, the more you can get into nature, turn off your Wi-Fi, turn off your cell phone, even if it's just for like an hour or two, I promise you'll survive it. You might feel like you won't, but that's something else, John, that I've heard so many people say to me the last month is, I feel like I almost can't put my phone down.
Mhm.
And when I do, I feel real weird.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like they're missing it somehow. And
Mm,
so to just get yourself out in nature as much as you can, get into the sunlight, get your feet on the ground because we are these beautiful nature-based beings and we're not really meant to be around this much technology. Although, I think that we can utilize technology to support us and to do amazing things. Like, I would never get to connect with all of you incredible people. We have over 100 people on right now. I would never get to connect with you guys if it weren't for this technology. But then it's also about restoring yourself and
mhm,
reconnecting and refilling up your cup. And I notice for me, I get the best downloads when I'm in nature, when I'm immersed, when I'm sitting next to a tree and I'm just connecting. I don't know if have you guys done this? I'm just looking at the chat here. Have you guys done this? Tell me if you have. You can go out to a tree that's like maybe its branches are about 6 inches away from your face because you're one with everything. Technically, everything is you, like you're the universe. And you can talk to that tree and you can say, hello, beautiful being. Would you just bend your branches down and just touch my face? Have you done this, John?
It's been a while, yes, but it's been a long time since I've done that.
It's so magical. I'm totally addicted to it, by the way. I do it almost
Mm.
every day. Because it shows you, yes, it shows you that everything's connected and everything's listening to you.
Mm,
That's the thing I think is the coolest about New Earth leadership is you remember that you're connected to everything, but it's not just that. Everything's connected to you, which means like, by the way, this is a key code to life. This is a key code to abundance. If you are connected to everything and you can communicate with everything, but also everything can communicate and connect with you, then what if you started approaching your life in such a hyper conscious way?
mm,
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what if before you ever drink any glass of water ever, you always, some of you guys are doing this now, you always blessed it and simply said, Thank you, water, for letting me intake your light into my cells.
Hmm.
Right? Thank you, this meal, for letting me intake and assimilate your light and your nutrients. Thanking your house and the walls. Something I do with this house is I thank it for vibrating at its maximum possible potential. And then I ask my house, like, what do you need from me? Because part of New Earth frequency, also, you guys write this down. This is a writer downer, is two-way nourishment.
Mm.
Two-way nourishment. So we've lived in a world predominantly where it's one-way nourishment. Do you guys know what I mean by that? John?
Tell us more. Yeah.
Okay, so have you guys ever had the relationship with life or a partner where it felt like a really one-way sort of a thing? Maybe
Hmm.
it's with your finances where it feels like you're working really hard and you're not being nourished back. So we have had on planet Earth this program of one-way nourishment. So think about how we are with the earth. Most human beings take from the earth and we don't nourish her back. So there's been this one-way nourishment program. So we're breaking that up and we're saying, no, two-way nourishment. So it's me and it's the other person. It's me
Mm.
and Mama Earth. It's me and this glass of water. We're going to both equally nourish each other. And we do that through communication and vibration both ways. So it is actually you pausing for a minute before you do anything and sending and receiving.
Hmm.
Sending the communication and receiving what your water wants to tell you. Sending love to your food and hearing what it wants to share with you. It's not just a one-way thing anymore.
Hmm. And it's without expectation. I do that on island. It's again going on so many hikes and seeing people coming in and just wanting to immerse and with the water or nature on the hikes with, it's with the rainforest. And again, because we've been so citified in so many ways that we go in and we just take, absorb, absorb, absorb. And I actually teach people that come with me to actually pause and to be with the plants, be with the land, to instead of going and taking before you jump in the ocean or jump in the lake in the pond in the cave, ask. May I enter? Ask. Um, or it might have to say or share. If you're gonna go hug a tree, ask if it wants to receive your hug or your energy. Some will say no.
Right, right.
Some will say no. A lot of them will say yes.
Yes. Yes. And that's exactly what I'm talking about, that two-way communication. And that's the stuff, look, we weren't even taught how to talk to each other, really how to emotionally be with each other as kids. So some of these new earth ethics and new earth ideas are really profound because most people wouldn't necessarily think to have the two-way dialogue. They would just, oh, let me intake the light versus water. What do you have to share with me? Like, what do you want me to know? When you get into this kind of dialogue with your life, though, what's really fun is how magical it gets.
Hmm.
You guys, it gets so magical. I love this. I'm just gonna read some of these comments. Karen's asking, how do we receive the messages from water and trees? I love that you asked this question, Karen. Can we answer that?
Of course.
Well, this is
We're
how.
not going to leave her hanging. Of course, we're going to answer that question. Yes.
So, Karen, here's how I do it. And the biggest thing is not being attached to how it comes through, because each of you guys has your own dominant psychic gifts. Like I do our Divine Light Energy Healers Academy, where I teach and train psychic gifts and healing. But each of us has our own dominant. So you might smell a smell, or you might hear words, or you might get a knowing. You might just simply feel a feeling. So it happens for each of us, every one of us differently. But I will give you this example. How do you, if you were going to sit, you and John together, and you ask John a question, hey, John, what do you think about that orchid behind you?
Hmm.
How would you be able to receive his message? How would you be able to receive John's message? You would be silent and listen.
Mm.
You wouldn't talk over him. So, how do we receive messages from the plant and animal and even our house kingdom, our grocery store kingdom? We ask a question and then we silence ourselves
Mm.
long enough to sense what comes through. It's not really different than regular communication. We just do the same process. Only the only difference is when you're with the tree or the orchid or your water jug or the ocean or the stream, it can sound or feel different. And what's really cool is getting in the practice of it so that you can see, sense, feel how your gifts work the best. Does that make sense, Karen?
Mm.
Let me know if it does. Yes. Okay,
It
great.
probably does. Amazing. So, Alyssa, let me ask you this because part of awakening this new earth leader within ourselves, that there's aspects that would seem very esoterical or esoteric. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's good to because if there's any part of the subconscious or doubts or not knowing how to have a relationship with this is super important to talk about because it is part of what comes up in embodied experiences. But we also have to talk about activating our light body. We have to talk about healing ourselves and how that actually turns into healing for others as well. And I'd love it if you get a little more, go a little bit deeper with those two aspects because I know that they're core parts of what you teach as well, as far as having a relationship with and utilizing those strengths to
Yeah.
really create the life that we're here to create in our true essence.
Yeah. Oh, I have such goose chills even thinking about how I'm going to answer this. So, if you think back to your training on being a human, I want you
Mm,
guys to think back to your training as of being a human. We didn't really get training on much except like how to work our body and how to learn things in school, but not in a way of critical thinking, but more in a memorization way. Right. We really got taught on how to critically think. We may have gotten taught how to ride a bike. So, all of that to say that as humans, we got taught a lot of things that trained us into being a certain type of human that would listen to orders and follow them and divert your power outside of yourself to the person with the most power.
mm,
And so we were taught under that model. And if this person was considered to be like a wise teacher, we would divert our knowing to their knowing. We wouldn't really question past being told something. So that sort of blocked people off and just kept them in the physical body. So if I have a connection but is blocked off, it's very hard to access that connection, right? And we block ourselves. We got sort of blocked coming down here. But I actually think that's a fun part of the game. Like, I actually think that why we're here right now is kind of a fun part of the game to come in and say, like, I'm going to block myself off of this and see if I can't get back around to opening up my full connection. And then I can enjoy the bliss that comes from not having something to having something. Because have you guys ever had um, where you really want something and you're on one side of the manifestation where you don't have it, and then
mm.
it happens and you're like, oh, wow, I got it. Amazing. That's part of the fun of it all is the contrast. And it's part of what we come here to experience is the contrast. So all of that to say, John, to answer your question, that part of the work that we came here, each and every one of us to do is to get a little blocked off from our light bodies and then to remember how to activate that. Remember how to tap into the light within us, the light within our DNA, the light within our outside of our physical being, the light that goes in a column from, our physical body upwards and connects us into all that is, and then the light that connects us down into Mama Earth. And ultimately, my belief is that you literally are the whole universe.
Mm,
Like you are all of it. And that when you die, my experience was I got to go back to being all of it. I wasn't
mhm,
separate from any of it. I was not only this one part of it, I was all of it. And so, to answer your question, I think a big part of the journey is healing, working with, opening up ourselves to remember that we're more than just this physical, fleshy suit, and tapping into the consciousness that goes well beyond our physical body, that goes well outside of our physical body. And when you learn how to really do that and work with that, then because you understand that you are all things, and this is why it's a secret key to everything. If you need abundance, you talk to money and money comes. You're having that conversation. If you need health, you talk to health and health comes. If you're having a kerfuffle, a health crisis within yourself, you literally go in and you hold a staff meeting with your body and you're like, hey guys, let's work together on this one. Let's do something different. I got a message just 2 days ago, some blood work from a client who was really having a significant health issue. And I said, look, what do you want to create for yourself? Like, what do you want to align with? What do you want to do? And so she's like, I really want a healthy outcome here. I said, great, let's do it. And so we worked to clear a little bit about the beliefs of I'm not that powerful enough. I can't heal my body like that, like in less than a week. So we had to clear a little bit of that came up for her. But then I got the test results, I got everything, and she was free and clear. Everything was perfect. And except one little result, which wasn't that, it was like a minor thing and it was no big deal. But that's the power that we all have. We all have this power to align with different versions of our bodies. And sometimes it's work. Sometimes we have to really go on this deep journey to peel away all these layers and all these things that our soul is trying to help pull out and break us from.
mhm. Well, let's get into different ways that you facilitate that. And so we're going to get into live Q&A in a little bit, y'all. So if you guys have questions, type it into the chat box, raise your hand. I'll promote some of y'all to panelists as you come in. And before we go there, let's get into the special offer. So click on the special offer button underneath the video where you're watching a call from. Um, the link's also in the chat box if that's easier for you to do that. Or if you're watching the replay on YouTube, just go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace and you'll find Alysa's picture and the special offer button, and it'll take you there as well. Um, because Alysa, again, these are part of the ways that you help people to navigate and to align and to get in that place of phase transition. And so I'd love it if you share how what we've been talking about today, that you facilitate the alignment and the phase cohesion that's available to really align into that divine leadership role, that embodiment and expression of that embodiment into this world.
Yes. Yeah. And before I talk about that, I want to talk about some of the benefits of it.
Mm,
Because this is really why we do the work. So, some of the benefits of becoming a new earth leader and the embodiment of that, well, number one is that you get to have divine connection with people. One of
mm,
the things I hear from people all the time, John, is I feel so alone. I'm on a planet of 8 billion people and I feel alone. I'm just curious to know how many of you guys feel that. Have you
mm,
felt alone recently? So one of the things that happens when you start to shift your internal work, and a lot of the work I do is called divine DNA repatterning. So we're literally repatterning the trauma embedded inside your cells from this lifetime, from your genetics, from your multi-dimensional field, so your alternate concurrent lifetimes, because we have all of that and it's working on us. So we do have to take that stuff out and we have to repattern it, reprogram it a little bit. So I'm kind of like a little mad computer reprogrammer in there, reprogramming the trauma and the embedded programs. And to make this really clear, it's like, you know how your DNA works, how at certain ages certain things happen to you, like in puberty you start getting armpit hair, right? Well, your body didn't do that before then because the DNA hadn't kicked in yet. So DNA tells our body what to do. DNA also tells the field what to do. And I don't know if you guys know this, but your DNA impacts the field so much that literally if you put my DNA in a petri dish and looked at photons, the matter would do different stuff than if John's DNA was in there.
Mm.
It literally creates different imagery. Okay, and that's huge. The implications of that are huge. So let's then go into, well, why do this work of being an embodiment of a new earth leader? Well, one, you can have these beautiful relationships. And one of the things that I've been hearing from people is like, I want a relationship. I don't have a relationship, or I don't have soul family. Well, when you're embodied of that, you become a magnet. You're this massive magnet for alignment, aligned people, aligned circumstances, aligned opportunities. You can't stop them. They just come your way. Oh, your car broke down on Tuesday. Oh, wait, you just had two people say, hey, I'm going out of town. Would you like to use my car?
Mm.
This is how it works. So you become this magnet for new earth frequency, which is the things that you need as or before you need them. So new earth frequency is the things that you need as or before you need them. New earth frequency is overflowing abundance.
Mm.
You can't stop it. It just happens. New earth frequency is beautiful divine partnerships. Like, I'm not talking twin flames here. I'm talking divine union. He'll hold masculine, feminine, embodied man. He'll hold feminine, masculine woman, together in whatever combinations they need to go. But guess what? Like, you might have two women, you might have two men, but at the end of the day, they're both that double helix matrix of their divine whole
Mm.
self. We're not trying to sit on somebody else's top or bottom. It's not like two halves make a whole, it's two wholes make a pair. And
Mm.
so when you're in this new earth frequency as your embodied leader, you get to experience life in a different way. You get yummy relationships, you get yummy soul family, you get infinite abundance, you get access to a healthy body. Or if a body starts to go off because maybe we're not, maybe we're misaligned in some way, or something happens, or maybe there's a global pandemic, you can quickly get on top of it and ask your body to work with you and heal it. So
Mhm.
those are some of the advantages to doing the work, because we're not just doing it to do it. You're doing this work to become that new earth leader so that you get to experience a different layer and level of reality.
Mm.
Literally, a different layer of reality, because they're all stacked on one another. So it's kind of like this series, I put it together. It's kind of like, have you guys ever been to a really fancy hotel and you have the key card to go up to the 70th floor, and only people that have the key card get onto the concierge level?
Mhm.
So it's kind of like your key card to the concierge level of the really fancy hotel, because there are things that you have access to, levels of consciousness, levels of healing, levels of abundance, levels of love,
Mm.
that if we haven't yet done the reprogramming work, we're not able to access. And with good reason, right? Because we wouldn't be a match for that. And the trauma that we would bring to the floor would not be positive for that floor.
Yeah. And what happens when we don't claim what's there for us also, we get into the wobble. the back and the forth of not really being able to land it because again, that hasn't been integrated within us. So part of the reclamation energy, and again, really the awareness that that leadership is calling forward is so important because that's what stabilizes the field. And again, it's but before we go deeper into the special offer, I would love your definition of leadership in this context as well.
I'm so glad you asked this question. So I think of leadership as self-leadership.
Hmm.
I am self-led. First and foremost, I check in with myself for everything. Is this aligned for me? I don't really care if somebody else outside of me is telling me I should do something. I am always bouncing it in on myself.
Hmm.
Leadership meaning, can you just said it, can I hold my frequency field? Right? I'm leading the field of my frequency no matter where I am, no matter who I'm with. I'm holding my field in a leadership role. And someone's asking, does how much does your neighborhood affect your own frequency? I mean, it can affect you a lot if you're not able to hold your field. And it's work. So if you are in a neighborhood that you find it difficult to hold your frequency, well, odds are you're in a very intense muscle building class for your frequency field,
Right.
you know? And really that's the work of self-leadership. And here's the other thing to consider is, okay, both John and I live in Hawaii, and so we get this more than anyone probably. But if you can only hold your frequency field when you're lounging on the beach eating papaya and raspberries, well, I would argue that you probably can't hold your field.
Hmm.
If you can only hold your field when you're not with your parents, but the minute you're with your parents, you're triggered and you're a frustrated mess or an angry mess, I would argue that you can't really hold your field. So
Hmm.
that's one of the key things about this program is you're learning to actually hold your field. You're installing new frequencies in your body that help support you holding your field no matter what. Because I also see for this planet that we've got a couple of intense years. You guys have even felt it over the last few months, right? It's been fairly intense
Hmm.
of a lot coming at us. So if you can only hold the frequency of abundance, when your bank account's got $3 million in it, or maybe even $25 in it, whatever it is, like if you can only hold abundance when it's a certain level, I would argue you're not holding abundance frequency.
Hmm.
Right. So this is a beautiful class on how to hold the frequency and how to actually bring in your own frequency. One of the things I teach in the Divine Light Energy Healers Academy is empowerment. I do not want to do it for you. I
Hmm.
want to show you how to do it for yourself, because the more of us that know how to hold the frequency for ourselves and instantly attune in any situation, well, then everything changes because now we're radiating that frequency. And I once heard this, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I once heard, I think it was Wayne Dyer or somebody said that a person who was holding a frequency of a certain frequency, like a bliss or a joy frequency, could literally impact an entire city and
Hmm.
shift that entire city. So if we are like these cell towers constantly radiating frequency, then really the goal is for us to emit it. Because at the end of the day, new earth is not something that happens on the outside of you, it happens as and through you. And the more it happens as and through you, you'll see your world shift. Literally, the people in your world will be different. And you won't exactly know why. You'll think they shifted, but it was really you.
Hmm.
You were the one who shifted. Oh, Laura, that's beautiful. She's been feeling it and can't hold the frequency at all. And by the way, that's really common. Oh my gosh. So if that's been you, first give yourself so much love. Like for even just noticing that, That's huge. Awareness is key. Where are the places where I struggle to hold my frequency is one of the first questions that we would want to ask. Where are those places? And then, what support do I need in order to do that? We do a lot of tools inside the class to repattern the DNA so
Mm,
that you don't go into subconscious programs of matching lower frequency. So what happens right now, you guys, is that most people on the planet are frequency matchers,
mm,
not masters. And you know that you've gone to, I use parents as an example because we've all done that, right? We connect with our parents, and they trigger us, and then we're matching their frequency. Or maybe it's a friend, or maybe
mm,
it's a coworker, and all of a sudden we're matching their frequency. So instead of being a frequency matcher, we want to become a frequency master. And that requires practice. It also requires knowing how to connect in with higher frequencies so that you can run them more readily and run them more easily. And it just
mm.
happens on the automatic.
And again, this is part of what you're sharing in this activation series. Again, the lead from your highest divine essence, the new leader activation series. And let's say you've broken this down into weeks. It's what's the purpose of the different weeks? And I'd love if you go through some of it so that people can be aware of the
Yes.
alchemy that you're taking them through.
Yeah, so we first start with the soul connection and your divine power reclamation. Because guess what? When you're truly connected with your divine power, everything in your life changes. I
Hmm.
see this so much in my certification programs. It's like when you work from that identity and you know that I am a divine creator, whew, all of the old stuff that was operating in your world starts to kick out of your field very fast. So you don't attract those situations anymore. You don't attract the people that are gonna, not be a good match for you. You don't attract the contrast situations in life. So that's really the first step, is reconnecting with your divine power and having that soul level, divine level connection. And you're running it every day. You're practicing running that. One of the things that happens, and it's so cute, I always get these messages from people that are like, well, what are you using on your skin? You're so
Hmm.
glowy. And you literally start to look different. I have so many testimonials from people in my academy, because this is a lot of the same stuff I'm teaching in my academy. I'm just not certifying on it. So I always see like people literally look different after doing this 1 week. They look different. They start to, people will be like, whoa, what are you doing?
Hmm.
What is what are you putting on your skin? It's nothing. It's nothing on your skin. It's you're literally infusing your subatomic particles with your divine light frequency, with your soul's light frequency. So that's really the first step. And then the second week, this is so important, is working on the balance of your masculine and your feminine energies, because everybody needs both. We are both. But what happens is we have abandoned some of those parts of ourselves, and that leads to a lack of electromagnetics. So if you think of masculine as electric and feminine as magnetic, what you're doing in this week is you're learning how to work with your own electromagnetics and really coming from that healed place versus an unhealed place, right? Or an underdeveloped feminine or an underdeveloped masculine. And we really do operate differently. And I use those words because there's a lot of stuff about like toxic masculine or toxic feminine. And I don't necessarily like that terminology. I just call it underdeveloped. So you learn how to develop those both sides of you and really balance them perfectly so that, and by the way, when you do, well, all of a sudden your relationships change. Okay, so have you guys ever really wanted to be friends with somebody or really wanted to call in a certain soul tribe? The fact that you're like seeking it and not having it lets you know that there's a part of your feminine, masculine magnetics that's out of balance. And so once you tune that up, they just start, your soul tribe just starts coming to you. They just
Mm,
start coming to you, you know, and they just start
yeah.
coming in, and you're just like, okay, I don't even have to work for this anymore.
You don't have to take it personally. You understand that it's alignment.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
there's a big difference between taking it personally and understanding the cohesion that is calling place. Either it's out of alignment with you or you're out of alignment with it somehow, but it's information. It's there, it's benevolent information to let us know. And it's easy as if we get out of the limited mind. The ego says, but there must be something wrong with me, or they suck, or whatever it is, and understand the electricity of the information that's informing us.
Yeah. And you're starting to live, especially in the week two of it, in the frequency first.
Hmm.
I'm frequency first. And when I wake up in the morning, I set my frequency and I recheck my frequency throughout the day. And
Nice.
when I'm in my frequency first, then everything comes my way. And the things that are not aligned for me don't come in. And that means all sorts of things that you actually don't have to deal with anymore. Like I said, your car breaks down, you got two coming at you faster than you know what to do with. You know, you need something, it's right there. And
Hmm.
people, you know, you're like, oh gosh, I wish I had this groceries, and someone knocks at your door and like there's groceries there. That's literally how fast it happens because you're in your frequency alignment. You're creating from that divine creational state.
It's like Google listening to you, but it's divinity. Wait,
Yeah.
I was just talking about those shoes, and all of a sudden it's in my feed.
Yes.
God, source is in your feed. Right?
Exactly. And to your
Yeah.
point, divine is a lot like the algorithms that we
Hmm.
experience online. And that's the interesting rub about it. When we're too much in conversation with the algorithms online, we start to miss out
Hmm.
the participatory, benevolent, loving, divine source that can come and just bless your life with things.
Someone's telling us what we need rather than us claiming what we desire. Big
Yes.
difference.
Exactly. Which
Difference.
which then takes us into week three, which is
Mm,
really looking at your soul role, because we all have different soul roles. Some of
mm,
us are teachers, some of us are healers, some of us are space holders. Some of us are here to actually do our work, but radiate light. You know, there's an old saying, before enlightenment, chop wood and carry water.
mm.
After enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. So, really looking at what your energetic coding is so that you can see that and work with it. I hear so many light leaders, light workers say, well, I don't know what I'm here to do. And when we're in our new earth frequency, it's really less about what we're doing and more about who we're being.
Hmm.
And when you start to be the frequency, then the alignments start to take place and you get the phone calls and the nudges and the opportunities start to open up because now your frequency aligns with what your soul role is, which you specifically came here to do.
Right. I think it's really important also as we step into this leadership indoctrination that's happening. If we've been doing our work and showing up in these particular ways, there's something that's been activated in us. And being citizens of the universe, if you will, there is this place where there's a consciousness that we know that we're affecting the field of the consciousness that we're carrying forward. And at some choice, we have to choose benevolence and up and beyond ourselves. But we have to choose ourselves in the process because if we don't, the ripple effects and the diminished energetic pattern is going to keep feeding a system that doesn't support anymore. So there is a certain level of awareness and choice that is selfless and selfish at the same time. And it's really important to be aware of the cause and effect of that.
Yeah. Yes, and I love how you said like it that feeds into the system, and what happens is it starts to cancel it out. So whenever we're in a place of doubting or questioning, I don't know about this, I don't know about that. Truth is, most people I come into contact with, when I ask them specific questions, they actually do know. They're
Mm,
just too afraid to do it for some reason, but they actually do know. It's actually not really true that they don't know. And so what happens is when we're in all that doubt, have you ever seen like you drop a rock in a pond and then you drop another rock and the two waves start to at some point cancel each other out?
mhm.
And so that's the thing, your soul's got a ripple and it's like, hey, let's do this path here. But that doubt cancels it. It just keeps
Right.
canceling it and canceling it. So part of the work in that week is to drop the doubt and really lean into, well, if you could do anything, what would that be? And here's the thing. Okay, and you guys will all get this in a minute. You are never going to get guidance to do something that is not for you.
Mm,
You can't think of it. So if I told you right now, oh my gosh, I'm gonna, set you up with this farm and you're gonna have 50 sheep and chickens and all of that. If you know that's not for you, it won't sound good.
mhm.
You'll be like, no, that does not sound good to me. So the things that are for you, and you guys write that this is an actual writer downer. The things that are for you actually feel good to you. They're yummy. You actually know what you want. You know the things you prefer. I know you know it. So we actually work on doing that. And then what we work to do is align you to that version of you who of course is having that. I remember there was a time when I could not have imagined my body being healthy, when I couldn't have imagined doing the work I do now. And literally what I had to do is I had to align myself with a version of myself that walked and didn't wear diapers and didn't,
Mhm.
lay in bed all day, sick, attached to a pick line. So that's the thing, is that we have to align ourselves, but your soul actually does know. You actually do know. And when you give yourself that permission, and one of my superpowers, I will say, is knowing and seeing directly into your soul and helping you claim it and just know
Mm,
it's possible. Because I
mm,
believe that anything that you want, that you say that you want, is possible. You can,
mm.
if you can want it, it's possible.
Well, I'll share another one of your gifts
Oh, okay.
because we get to witness Alyssa, but it's also to let you know the field that you're entering. Part of what happens when you can be in the collective of someone who holds a steady vibrational field, it provides that buoyance to allow you to not only enter the portal, but sustain it and calibrate long enough where it becomes yours, where that becomes accessible on a consistent basis. And then Alyssa is wonderful because then she lets you go so that you can hold it on your own. It's not dependent on her being there. It's an attunement and acclimation. The phase cohesion happens. And then you get to start creating from that set point that you created together, which is wonderful. Which then that takes us into the capacity to timeline leap.
Yes, yes.
Tell
So
us more about that.
I love timeline leaps. So, so this is really fun when you start to learn how to do this because you have all these different timelines. And you guys know, I'm going to do this with everybody right now. Can I? Do we have time?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I want you to hold up your left hand. You guys who have seen me do this before, you know this. So this in your left hand is the timeline that either you're on or that you don't want. It's the stuff that's happening that's like you don't want, okay? So you all know what this is. Get a sense of like what's going on right now that you'd prefer not to have, okay? So get a sense of that.
Mhm.
And then now I want you to hold up your right hand and I want you just to imagine the things that you do want, the things that your soul would just be like so happy if you had, whatever those are. And just imagine that. Okay. So, what we do in the timeline leap is we show you the different timelines that are
Mm,
available. Now, what's really cool, John, did you just get a sense of your timelines?
I did.
Yeah. So, you saw over on your right hand, like the stuff that you really would love.
Absolutely.
So what we do in Timeline Leap Week is we just show you how to be on the frequency of that person so that I call it snapping to the grid. You can snap to that grid very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually a process. I've seen people do it overnight. I've seen people take a week. I've seen people take a month, but you'll have the tools to actually snap to the grid. And by the way, you wouldn't be able to think of it if it weren't in your field. What keeps people stuck is they keep doing actions and they keep doing stuff, but they don't snap themselves to their highest timeline or a higher timeline that they're going to enjoy and really like.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a week that we spend a lot of time on really installing that coding. By the way, once you know how to do this, you can repeat it because I guarantee you, once you get all the things that you said you wanted, you're going to graduate from there. You're going to want to go even higher. You're going to want to experience. We're here to experience. Like we're here in this physical realm
Mm-hmm.
to experience. That is the reason why we have these great, electromagnetic soft technologies so that we can experience all the things of life. Yes, alive to thrive. Yes,
Life to thrive. But something, Alyssa, also that I think you'll invite everybody into also is to ask bigger because even in that timeline asking for me, okay, I went up a couple of notches, but I'm also aware of what's available several notches up, but I was here instead of here.
yes, 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 yes. Yeah. So asking bigger,
Hmm.
asking to really expand into your fullness,
Hmm.
because we can all stretch ourselves. That was confirmation from the universe. Don't know if you heard that, but we can all stretch. And the ultimate truth is that this is an old saying, but whatever you can vision, you can have. Whatever you can believe, you can achieve. And so ultimately, it's just aligning with the vision. It's aligning with that version of you. And I have this belief that I'll ask you guys to download right now, which is if you are, in fact, God in a body, if you are, in fact, divine source in physical form. So, just out of curiosity, who of you believes that? I'm God in a body, I'm divine source in physical form, I'm the universe in action. Whatever your language is, just pop in the chat, let me know. Do you believe that?
Hmm.
Okay. Yes, 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 yes. So
Please,
if,
Heather, Alyssa, yes.
right, absolutely. I love it. Yes. So if you aren't that, so we check that box, then I love it. As God in a body, as divine source energy, well, guess what? Don't you think divine source energy would want you to experience like the utmost, like the most incredible amount of amazing experiences that we're going to expand your consciousness and light up your soul and help to shift some of the consciousness that is on this planet? Like, don't you actually think that divine source energy would love that? Let me know if you say yes in the comments. So that's the thing, is whatever is lighting you up, the more you're lighting up, the more it expands, the planet, the more frequency you're running into Mama Earth and to the people. And you guys can feel that in your body. You can probably actually feel that frequency shift in your system, in fact.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So is that where you're taking us in week 5, manifesting from that divine frequency?
Yes, because, and I'll tell you why. You want to make sure you're manifesting from divine frequency versus ego frequency, and that keeps you
Hmm.
out of contrast manifesting. Contrast manifesting is manifesting something, but then it doesn't work out, or it doesn't make you happy because you weren't happy in the first place, or it's this is not positive for you in some way. So we want to avoid ego manifesting content contrast manifesting. And instead, we want to get into I am divine in action, I'm divine in physical form. What am I going to create that's totally aligned? Here's the secret key for myself and the planet,
Hmm.
for myself and the people. What am I going to create?
Beautiful.
bring in. Yeah,
Yeah. And that's the golden means of creation. It's manifesting. If it's good for me and good for you, then it's good for the world. And if we
exactly.
know that, then it amplifies the possibility and the creation, which is wonderful. And then week 6, awaken your healing connection. Tell us more, please.
Well, one of the reasons why I included this in this program, I have a energy healing certification where I teach people energy healing and psychic gifts. One of the things I'm noticing because I do a certification through the healers that I teach is more and more people are needing healing. More and more
Mm,
people are struggling with their physical bodies. Have you guys noticed that? Like, I'm just looking at the chat. Have you guys noticed more physical body struggles recently? So I wanted to
mm,
include this because I want you to have the coding, the skill set, so that if something happens for you or a loved one, you can go in and shift it and work with your body's technology. And like I said, literally a couple days ago, I got a client. She shifted this for herself so rapidly, it blew even me away
mm.
because she was just learning this skill. And so what is really cool is once you know how to have this skill, you can use it for yourself, but also you can use it with your friends. You can teach it to your family. One of the things that I always say about my work is I want you to teach it outward, like share it in some way. It's not mine anyways, it's divine's. So please like share it so you can literally pass this on to your family, to your friends, because we do have a lot of stuff, like it or not, on planet right now that's not super positive for our bodies. And our nervous systems are going through a massive upgrade. You guys probably feel a lot more sensitive than you have ever before in your nervous systems, or maybe even noticing nervous system symptoms. So it's about knowing how to actually work with your coding and turning
Mm.
certain things on and turning certain things off so that you're consciously working with your body's frequency and shifting it.
Amazing. Amazing. Again, the whole alchemy of what you're taking your body through this course. How long are each week? What's included in each week?
Yes. So I actually am doing this as a live program.
Oh, it's a
We,
live program.
this is live.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. Okay. Well, we need to put a big highlight on that on the sales page if we haven't, because that is huge. Because it's $197 and you're showing up live for this.
I know.
Okay.
I know. And so here's why I decided to do it. Yes, I could give you modules from inside the academy because a lot of this material is pulled directly from the academy, but I wanted to just show up live and teach it and help you embody it because I really believe, like you said, there's something that happens when you're with somebody who holds a certain frequency. The visual I get is, did you have a parent teach you how to ride a bike and they sort of had you on the back of the bike and they had you firmly so you were not going to fall?
Mhm.
And then you got up enough speed and steam, and then boom, you hit that phase transition, and you're like, "Boo, I can ride my bike on my own. It's amazing." And you could do it. So I'm that person. I'm going to have you on the back of the bike. I'm going to have you so locked in safety and the frequency so that you know what that feels like. You know what steady, solid, stable frequency feels like. You know how to bring it through yourself. And I didn't feel like that can happen in videos. I feel
Mhm.
like I wanted to have it happen live. So
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Y'all, the links for the special offer, you know where to find them underneath the videos. The links in the chat box also. And again, if you're watching the replay on YouTube by any chance, just go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace, find Alysa's picture, click on the special offer and dive in. Of course, if you miss any of the live calls, there'll be replays for it. No doubt about that. When did the calls taking place, Alyssa?
that is a great question. Well, I know they're 2 hours. I feel like they're on, do we have it on the sales page?
I don't think we do.
I think that got missed. Oh no. They are on Sundays. And
Sundays. Okay.
yeah, we got to put it in there and I'll email the team, but I believe they start in July. So in July.
Sundays in July. Amazing. All right. This I thought this was a recording and I thought this was amazing of what you're breaking down here also, but now you showing up live and $197 because I know your coaching with you is like beyond, it's like a whole nother level. So to get this one-on-one attention for Beyond the Ordinary in this way is extraordinary. Y'all dive in and take this, go on live with Alyssa and be in that vibrational attunement and you calibrate each other up. I'll share from my direct experience, and I wouldn't doubt that this would be the same for Alyssa. But when we get into an intentional space together, I may start up here as teaching because it just kind of works out that way when you're teaching and guiding. But this thing starts to happen in attunement, and we raise each other up. We raise each other up. So Alyssa's thinking that she's teaching one thing right now, and it's going to be freaking amazing. But because the intention that you're showing up in, because of what you carry in a vibrational tone, there's a buoyancy that even more comes through. So we have a baseline now that's incredible. But I'm curious when everybody shows up live, what else is possible, which is
I know.
extraordinary.
Plus, I also am going to be doing live energy tune-ins. So
Mm,
sometimes what's really nice, in fact, not sometimes, all the times, what's really nice about a live program is, versus a recording is if you're struggling or you're stuck, it's very difficult, even for me. That's why I have pros that I deal with that help
mm,
me see what I'm, stuck on. So when somebody else is outside of you, they can read your field a little easily. It's like I can't see if I got a tag on the back of my
yeah,
chest, or someone else can. So that's the nice part about it. So I am also doing live energy tune-ins and tune-ups and this program. So I'm
nice.
really stoked. I know the price is kind of crazy. I know John is like, what the what?
It,
But
it's
we also make it really accessible.
Yeah, I'm grateful for our community and for what our platform stands for. So it's just so much alignment. It's so perfect. Y'all dive in, take advantage of it. Again, you know what the links are. We have Melissa that came on live. Melissa, why don't you unmute yourself and ask Alyssa your question?
Hi, Alyssa and John. Thank you. Um, Alyssa, I'm feeling all kinds of infinite possibility, but I feel like my personal fat fatness is in my way.
Hmm.
Um, I I'm trying to lose weight and I can't, and it gives me a hopeless feeling, and it affects everything. And I would love a breakthrough on that.
Awesome. Well, let's get you a breakthrough on that. So, do you mind if I just tune into your multidimensional field?
Please, thank you.
Okay, great. And are you willing to do a little divine DNA repatterning for me, John? Do we have some time?
We do, and can I share how much did you used to weigh, Alyssa?
Who, me?
Yeah,
Oh,
you.
Alyssa. 240. 200.
So you may be asking the right person as far as attunement and vibrational healing, um, who could understand maybe your plight in different ways, Melissa. So I just wanted to bring that into awareness.
Thank you so much. And I just want to say I was an elite dancer. I was 112 pounds or 105 pounds working, 112 pounds not. And now I'm so not that. And I can't seem to get any movement here. And it's like a failure. It's like my place of failure.
Hmm. Oh, I can feel that, and I know what that feels like. I know that what that feels like. So as I'm tuning into your multidimensional field, what they're telling me is part of what's happening is called a snapback. Does that make sense? A snapback? So part of what's happening in the energy field is there feels like so much constriction and restriction around food in that whole body style back then of when you were the 100 tiny person. Okay, the body's sort of snapped back. And what they're showing me in the DNA set is I'm going to ask for a very clear explanation on this. It's like, even though your mind wants to be this thin again, in the physical body, it is equating that feeling thin to not feeling healthy. It's equating it to not being listened to. It's equating it to restriction. Does this make sense for you?
Actually, no, because that was when I was at my happiest. Like when I hit one, even go but down 30 pounds from what I am now, which I have been, I feel myself, I feel powerful, I feel happy. I feel fluid in my body. So I'm
Perfect.
not sure about, I mean, yeah,
Here we go. Are you ready? So, where right now, when you think about that and you think about losing weight, where do you feel the most sensation in your body and not being able to lose weight?
my lower belly.
Right. So, you're going to take your ring finger and your middle finger and you're going to tap on your lower belly. Here we go. You ready?
Mhm.
Don't be surprised if you have some emotion come up. And you can just close your eyes. I now release
I now release
any and all places and spaces
any and all places and spaces
in my physical and energy body,
in my physical and energy body,
my cells, soul, and DNA,
in my cells, soul, and DNA,
where I attached a weight number
where I attached a weight number
to being happy.
to being happy.
I release this now.
I release this now.
I no longer need to learn through this.
I no longer need to learn through this.
I release it now
I release it now
across all time,
across all time,
spaces,
spaces,
dimensions,
dimensions,
and realities.
and realities.
So, does that make sense what I'm saying? Like, part of what's happening is there's a happiness that's attached. So, it's a funky little DNA loop. It's happiness attached to a number or a time when I was this. So, if I feel like I get back to this, then I can be happy loop.
I hear that, but I also am repulsed by the fat that I can grab in my stomach, and I can't find love there.
Yes.
It's actually physical. It's not a number. It's
I understand.
that's disgusting.
I understand. So, here we go. Keep tapping there. I now release
I now release
any and all places and spaces,
any and all places and spaces
my physical and energy body,
in my physical and energy body,
in my cells, soul, and DNA,
in my cells, soul, and DNA,
where I use repulsion
where I use repulsion
as a way to keep myself small,
as a way to keep myself small,
as a way to keep myself stuck.
as a way to keep myself stuck.
I release this now
I release this now
across all time,
across all time,
spaces,
spaces,
dimensions,
dimensions,
and realities.
and realities.
Now, what they're telling me in there is that at the core of this issue is beating yourself up, like having something to beat yourself up for. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Great. So
Yes.
I want you to think back to when you were so thin. Did you also beat yourself up back then for something different? You didn't beat yourself up for anything. Nothing at all.
No,
So you
no,
only started,
actually,
yeah, you only started beating yourself up once the weight came.
yeah,
Mm.
it's the weight. And it's a sort of like my family, the rest of my family is overweight in the woman on the ancestral side. And I'm like, no,
Yes.
no.
Can I share an insight and a question?
Yes.
Melissa, back in your dancing days, was there beating yourself up through comparison?
Only in my excellence. I hate to say it, but
Okay,
that's
I
why I'm
wanted to
being
drop in because you're
normal.
saying nope, nope, no beating up. I was like, hold on a second, and let's get just it's tender, but let's go into the complete healing and just name some of it so that the spring well can start bubbling up and the healing can occur. So
Yes.
I would call it comparison. You can name it in the way that it resonates, but I know it's providing some type of opening.
I was a naturally thin person, and pain with men made me gain weight. So pain with men made me go, I need to not be attractive anymore, so I'm not hurt by men. That's the only place I can find fatness for me. And then my ancestral mother line, because my
I
dad's
think,
line is
I
thin.
think John's question though was, were you beating yourself up back in the skinny days from comparison or something?
No, No, no. I hate to say it,
Not
guys.
even in the dancing, comparing your dancing to others or anything
Well,
else.
dancing is different than thinness. That was like that. Okay, so other people will
But
never
it
dance
doesn't
again.
matter where it stems from.
Oh,
The beating up is still living there somehow. And if
I
it wasn't there,
I wish
amazing.
I
I'm
could
just trying
find
to
it.
get to the root.
I
Yeah,
wish I could find it, guys. I want to heal
amazing. Yeah.
this. I do. I'm right there with you. I want to heal it.
So
I
that's
want
okay.
Yeah, no, it's I could be off, but I was just curious because it shows up in different ways. So if it wasn't there for you, I don't want to impose that on you. So we'll let that go. So just relieve from that. I'm gonna sign off again. So you guys,
I
So,
I
so
want
Melissa,
to I want to I wish I was saying yes. I really do, but it's not.
what they're saying is they're saying this is a beat up though, and it looks like that it goes back. So that's why I'm asking you, is there something in your past? And it's okay if you're not accessing it right now. It could be in a multidimensional field. However, what we want to do is we want to scoop up that beat up stuff, that beating up of self, beating up of others, and that's the beat up energy is like judgment. I'm beating myself up for this because literally we cannot shift what we're not going to be in acceptance of and what we're shaming and beating up.
Yeah.
So my question is for you, and you had said like I can't find love here.
Yeah.
And so my question for you is why?
Because it feels so horrible to be so heavy.
Yeah, I know. I've been really heavy too. It does feel horrible.
And the one place that's the worst is that from the belly button down. I can't, I wish I could, but I can't. So I'm willing to give up and
I was
find
gonna
it.
say, so you're saying I can't, but really it's I'm choosing not to.
Oh, yeah, probably.
You know that. You let that truth land in your system. So here we go. We're going to release this now so you can start to work with it. Because ultimately, you're in the class of loving yourself no matter what.
Yes,
You're in the class of unconditional love for self.
right.
Right. And if you don't love yourself now, when you lose the weight, you'll find another reason to not love the saggy belly with the extra skin,
Right,
even though you're thin.
right.
Right? You'll come up with another excuse of why you can't love that aspect of you.
Right.
So
Yeah.
let's bring in a new frequency here. We're going to tap right on the belly. I now release
I now release
any and all places and spaces
any and all places and spaces
in my physical and energy body,
in my physical and energy body,
in my cells, soul, and DNA,
in my cells, soul, and DNA.
where I accidentally got imprinted
I accidentally got imprinted
to not love parts of myself.
to not love parts of myself.
Yeah. Where I accidentally got imprinted
Where I accidentally got imprinted
to not accept parts of myself
to not accept parts of myself
unless it looked a certain way,
unless it looked a certain way,
unless it felt a certain way.
unless it felt a certain way.
I release this now
I release this now
across all time,
across all time,
spaces,
spaces,
dimensions,
dimensions,
and
and
realities.
realities.
It's safe for me now.
It's safe for me now.
It's finally safe for me now
Finally safe for me now
to actively choose
to actively choose
to love myself
to love myself
no matter what.
no
Stay with
matter
it.
what,
Yeah,
no
stay in your
matter
body
what,
no matter what
no matter what
my body feels like.
my body feels like.
I now command
I now command
that it is safe for me now
it is safe for me now
to bring in the frequency
to bring in a frequency
of divine love,
of divine love,
divine acceptance
divine acceptance
in and through this body now.
in and through this body now.
Now just feel this in your body. Suata hutala ansitana ikola hana aisanatane ikola usutala atana isana So we're bringing in the frequency of divine love and divine acceptance and divine healing in and through your body so that it can be safe for you to release. So here we go, coming up to the belly button right above it. I now release
I now release
any and all places and spaces
any and all places and spaces
in my physical and energy body,
in my physical and energy body,
in my cells, soul, and DNA,
my cells, soul, and DNA,
where I accidentally
where I accidentally
used weight,
used weight,
storing weight, storing weight,
storing weight, storing weight,
and storing emotions
storing emotions
in my body,
in my body
way to protect myself.
to protect myself.
I release now. Good. And we're just taking it out. We're scooping it out right there. That's where it lives, right behind the belly button. We're just going to take it all out. Good. Yes. So they're bringing in the frequency that you just don't have to hold this anymore and you can just, let it go. Good work, Melissa. You're so brave.
Thank you. Thank you.
You
Beautiful,
feel that
Alyssa.
starting to happen in your body. It's nice release happening.
Thank you so much.
Mm,
Great work.
stay in this, Melissa. Stay in this.
Thank you.
I'm gonna change you back to a participant so
Thank you,
that
everyone.
you can be in your space and just cherish what's happening right now.
Like really stay in that emotion, let it keep releasing. It's going to keep releasing for you. And you're going to notice your body really start to come back into alignment. Good work. You know, and sometimes with the DNA repatterning, it takes a little while to get there. It takes a little while for us to feel safe enough. And Melissa, brave soul, hops on with, 100 of her new best friends, right? So sometimes we don't always feel necessarily able to fully go there, but she did, and she went there and she let herself release. So what happens when we unlock that from the DNA set is then it can start to go, and then we start to reprogram in safety codes, safety drivers for the DNA so that it then becomes safe for the body to do something different. So, and we have that stuff, And what I also know from Alyssa is it's possible. Transformation's possible, and the body is so capable of healing itself, but we have to step out of the way.
Right. Well, and this is all part of that activating that divine leadership within ourselves. Really, it's the truth is being illuminated in the most benevolent way. And sometimes the truth is uncomfortable. But the other side of it, once you get there, it's like, God, why didn't I do that sooner? My God, I'm so happy. It's so good. It's like, let's go again. And when we
Well,
start getting into that type of creation and cycling, man, it gets good.
and not only does it get good, but when you're in your divine light leadership, you don't need to use things like weights, illness, poverty to get attention or to protect yourself. Because
Mhm.
that's where we've been as a human being. We've been in the state of protecting ourselves or trying to create connection, but we've done it in a contrasty way, right?
Mhm.
So you don't know how common that story is. I'm for women, especially, like I'm using this weight to protect myself against men. Some women don't even know they're doing it consciously.
I
Some
do it as a man psychically to protect my psychic energy. And I can tell when I'm going up and down roller coaster psychic waves.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, okay, let me come back to myself. That protection doesn't need to come in that way. And it's an attunement. And it's no surprise with so many things happening. We're becoming more empathic. The world is becoming louder in its own healing. And so the combination of that is where we're kind of yo-yoing a little bit, but we're learning how to stabilize our field through that, which is powerful. So again, going through the alchemy of having the set points like you're teaching us through each and every week is so empowering for holding that vibrational state that lifts beyond those limitations, the things that would have us swinging back and forth, either with physical weight or energetic weight that we don't need to carry anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love some of the comments here, like, oh, we learned these ways of being and doing that then kept us protected or kept the connections going. So yeah, this is something that's so common, so common as we do these unconscious protections or connections. And what it is to be a divine light leader is to strip all of the old programming away so that you can have authentic, aligned connections,
Yeah.
authentic, aligned abundance, authentic, aligned health. And all those things start to come into place when you strip away the unconscious programming. And it happens, the unconscious programming, we inherited these bodies with eons of trauma patterning in there and unconscious programs. And we're now waking up to the fact that we can change it.
And we need to learn new ways because the protection as an intelligence is wonderful, but not if we hold on to the protection on a continuous basis because there's not a new creation coming in. So again, fear has its place and its divinity. But if we choose to marry it and that's all that we're running, it limits us and it limits the potential and it limits what we're putting into the field, into the genetics for a future generation as well, because the epigenetics of that is going to carry forward. So how we're changing the consciousness on the new earth is by creating new patterning, embracing, okay, I need to protect for now, but knowing when to let that protection go so that you're not keeping yourself in a cage and not being able to really allow the vitality of your soul to express itself, which is really what we're here to do.
Absolutely. And something that I teach clients, and you're going to learn in this, our time together, is that one of the reasons why we had to set up protections for our physical body and all that stuff in the first place is because we weren't reading the field. We
Mm,
weren't reading energy. We
mm.
were not looking at all beyond the mind. We didn't go into the situation. What would happen? How will I feel? What energy do I experience precognitively if I make this decision? If I make the choice to be with this person? If I make the choice to even go on this date, right? Or whatever it is. Once you're using your consciousness in this way, you do not have to protect. You can at all times make sure that you're in flow state and working with your highest alignment. You can be walking and be like, oh, actually, I'm feeling a frequency from this trail. And oh, it's actually not coming from the trail, it's coming from these people on the trail. I'm actually going to take this other trail. Right? So you're not protecting, you're in frequency alignment. It's because you're looking, you're noticing, you're sensing. And that's the thing that I'm teaching people is how to read frequency, how to read energy, how to be frequency first. And when you are frequency first and frequency aligned and really reading that language, you lose the need to protect. The weight falls away. I've seen it with myself. I've seen it with clients. The health issues fall away. The money issues fall away. The relationship issues fall away because now you're not the person who doesn't look at the red flags, right?
Mm.
Or like bypasses them completely. You're reading the energy and you're not going with what's not aligned for you, period.
Yeah. And using the trail example, you could be going on that trail and you're feeling one trail, but then you're feeling the frequency on another, and you get redirected because that one's like, I'm going to meet people. That one seems really fun. Something new is going to come through. So it's not just about discernment so that nothing happens. It also creates a relationship with opportunities that are leveling you up as well. So it's not a survival technique or read. It's really about opportunities and how we choose to engage with whatever opportunity, good, bad, and indifferent, that present themselves. So it's incredible. And we get to choose and create lives in the way that we hadn't before. Uh, Amazing. Melissa wrote in, wow, frequency first. Can't wait to do this. Safety drivers versus protection that don't serve. Beautiful, Melissa. Y'all and Melissa, y'all come back and listen to the replay. Again, the replay will be up in a couple of hours. There's a lot that came through. The process that Melissa was guided through that we benefited from witnessing and holding the field to end is can be so powerful for all of us to come back into to see what arises. And of course, the special offer with Alyssa to go deep live in those weeks, $197, y'all. That's crazy to work with Alyssa in that way. I hope y'all dive in and take advantage of that. And Alyssa, thank you. Thank you for your generosity, the way you're showing up. Thank you for going deep into process for Melissa and all of us truly on the call. It's been quite exceptional. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're
Um,
welcome.
All right. And it's with that, y'all, that I want to, and again, it's, I know Alyssa's looking at the messages. It's Heather, Lara, Jen, everybody else that's been typing in. Thank you. Thank you for engaging and being with us. Katerina, thank you. Sonia, thank you.
Can we
All
hear
of
what
y'all.
everybody's aha is from today? I know we actually dropped a lot. While you're typing your aha, I really want to leave you with a couple things. So one, you are in a point in time where you're having a brand new soul imprint drop through.
Mm,
Literally, this is the time where as souls here on planet Earth, there's a new imprint. You haven't had this in the past 12,000 years. The ability to align with this new soul imprint, which is you are divine in physical form, you are a divine creator, you have these incredible spiritual gifts and powers and things that you can do. And now is the time when you can actually attune to that. So that's number one. You have a brand new imprint for your soul that's finally accessible. Okay. And you can reach that. This is also a time where you are going to hit a new stage of growth in this lifetime. For those of you who are here on this call, you've probably been doing the healing work for the last 20 years. Okay. But you're literally ready to get into a new stage of growth where you sort of start to drop the need to heal and you get into this new place of, I'm creating my most incredible life. Like, I am just gonna go for it. And that's the frequency that we're being given. And you've got to tap into it. You've got to attune to that. It's just like you could turn on your Netflix channel and watch any movie. How will you know the movie that you pick? It's the one you pick. So you really want to pick the frequency that you're attuning to every single day because you really do have new stages of growth that are here for you. And as John's been saying, we get to claim this now, and it's about embodiment. You have to do more than just give it lip service. You have to give it body frequency service. You have to actually
mm,
hold it in here. Nothing's going to happen outside of you until you imprint that DNA, which the DNA is the code that generates your movie. So if you can really get that above all else, like your DNA is the code that has the movie of your life written on it. If you don't like the movie of your life, you got to go in, you got to change the DNA code.
mm. Beautiful. Beautiful. Alyssa, thank you for that. Y'all come back for these codes also at the end of the call. Write them down. Again, the call will be up later. It's probably a transcript that goes along with that as well. Um, but y'all, again, thank you for being here. Alyssa, thank you for the way that you show up. Again, your generosity. It's always wonderful. And until the next time.
Thank you
Yes.
so much, you guys. Thank you, guys. I love you. Mwah!
Love you guys. Namaste. Until the next call. Y'all have a great week.